What's up, Bulls Nation, and welcome in to CHGO Bulls Postgame. That wasn't very pretty, was it? CHGO Bulls Postgame, presented by PointsBet. Don't forget to use that promo code CHGO when you sign up to get all those awesome perks. Did I tell you to take the Suns minus 5.5 tonight?
You did.
I did. Did you listen to me? If you did, you made yourself some money.
Congratulations.
What's going on, y'all? I'm Matt Peck. You can follow me on Twitter at Bulls_Peck. You can follow my friend Big Dave Watson at BAL, BAWL Sports. Will Gottlieb will be joining us later on after he hears from Billy and the players in postgame. And welcoming back in our dear friend and contributor here at CHGO Bulls, it's Mark K. Everyone follow him on Twitter at MKHoops. Mark, how are you, pal?
I'm doing well. I've gone full Matt Peck today. I'm actually having a beer whilst doing the podcast, so that's unlikely. But when your favorite team has lost 3 games in a row, whatever it is, they've lost every game on this West Coast trip. So I don't know. You resort to drinking, you resort to bad food. Your diet goes out the window. Everything goes out the window. At least when you're a diehard Bulls fan. And I'm trying to, I guess, find my way through it, lads. So I'm happy to be joining you today, and maybe you guys can lift my mood, maybe.
We're happy to have you here, man. I had half of an extra large pepperoni pizza by myself.
He did.
For dinner. And this is a whiskey soda with far too much soda and not nearly enough whiskey in it. But cheers anyway. As you mentioned, that's a wrap on the 3-game trip.
Woo!
And it only got worse each game. We were like, oh, man, Sacramento, that's a bad loss. Well, maybe they can bounce back and get one of these other two.
Yeah.
Utah, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, you weren't as bothered by that game against the Jazz, just particularly like, hey, Donovan had a hell of a night shooting the ball, and the Bulls at least put up a fight for a good while. But, I mean, was this performance against the Suns like the rock bottom of the trip for you, or were you also just kind of seeing this one coming?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, you definitely summed it up right in the sense that I was okay in isolation on that Jazz game. I was like, yeah, okay, like this is going into Utah is always difficult. The Jazz are a good team, irrespective that, there may be a couple percentage points off this year compared to last, but still they're a good team. It's hard to win in Utah, but like in isolation, that was an okay loss. But the reason why it was annoying, I suppose, was like literally a couple of days before you lost to the Kings of all teams. So that's what made that frustrating. But then like this loss to the Suns, completely outclassed, and I was expecting them to get done by the Suns. Like there was no way, in my mind at least, that I thought they could win this game. And I was kind of thinking, this was fine for at least maybe 24 to 26 minutes of that game. But then I started to remember that the Suns are without Chris Paul, they're without Cam Johnson. Jay Crowder wasn't playing in this game. Like, if we want to talk about injuries for the Bulls and using that as an excuse, the Suns were without 3 of their top 6 players. So to get outclassed by that amount of margin against the Suns tonight, given that they were missing a lot of players, it was tough to handle. But I don't know. I'm just fortunate. I'm glad, I suppose, that the Raptors lost tonight. That's the way I'm looking at it, I suppose. Like, had the Raptors won tonight, the Cavs won, and the Bulls lost, like it would have been, I would have been in full meltdown mode. But thankfully, Russell Westbrook and the Lakers made sure that the Raptors lost. So that's what's keeping my spirits up, actually.
Let's go to Mr. His Spirits Are Always Up and see what Dave has to say.
Yeah, this sucked.
Yes.
This was terrible.
Let the hate flow through you.
Man, I keep telling you, I'm positive, but damn it, I'm logical. Like at the same time, you got to be both, man. This was so much not fun. Like that first quarter was probably the only good part about this game. And then after that, I mean, just everything went by the wayside. Just so many weird stat lines for the Bulls here. DeMar DeRozan, well, first of all, nobody scores over 20 points.
Nobody had 20.
Which is crazy in itself. But DeMar DeRozan having his 19. But Zach LaVine's stat line was the weirdest to me. 12 points on 1 of 7 shooting, but 10 of 12 at the free throw line. I don't even know the last. I mean, he does not get to the free throw line that often. I think the last time that happened was against Detroit. For some reason, he always gets to the line with double digits when he's playing Detroit for some reason. I don't know why. But 10 or 12 from there with 9 assists. Like, he just did not have that game at all. Ayo Dosunmu, another binaries kind of stat line. He wasn't on. When Tristan Thompson is one of your leading scorers, you're in trouble. Like, that is not the case. That should never be the case. And the three-point shooting, which was also wild to me. Look, man, your three-point shooting was led by guys off the bench. Everybody off the bench was leading you in three-point shooting, with Caruso with 2, Kobe White with 2, and, of course, Matty Legend with 2 late. But DeRozan didn't hit one. Zach didn't hit one. Io continues to slump from the three-point line. Vooch's slump from the three-point line continues on and on, man. Mark, I don't know what to make of this as far as Vooch's three-point shooting, but Io's stat line is the one that's just like, wow.
Well, I mean, look, let's put it this way: if Javonte Green is the only starter of your team that's made a three, it's probably going to be a bad game for you. So yeah, to your point, like the 3-point shooting remains an issue. This is a drum I've been banging all season. The Bulls are now last in the league in 3-point attempt rate. It's not something that they can fix, really. Like you hope Lonzo comes back and he launches 7 or 8 threes a game, but I'm sure we'll get to this later on. But he's still seemingly a weeks away, whatever that may mean, or at least I'm speculating on that. But that's what it sounds like based on what Billy has been saying. But like Zach just can't have games where he only takes 1 3 a game, and particularly like when you're down 15, 20 points in that, the start of the second half, when things are getting away from you, like trading 2s for 3s and those sorts of things, or getting to your mid-range shot, or just taking 2-pointers at that point in the game. Like you can't get back into games against a team like the Suns by just going to the, your 2-point shot. You need to launch these threes. I don't know why Zach only had 1 3-point attempt. Now, granted, he's being guarded by guys like Mikal Bridges and those sorts of things, which makes it a little bit more difficult. But at the same time, like he can't have games where he's only taking 1 3 a game because he is the most credible, high-volume 3-point shooter on the team. So for him to be 0-1, like you're just going to be running up against a disadvantage every single time.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of liked the way that Zach started this game.
Yeah.
In like he was penetrating and kind of taking what the defense gave him, but also he had some really impressive passes, I thought, and some nice setups to get his teammates involved. And I was thinking, okay, well, maybe this is just one of those nights. And we've seen this, from Zach, even going all the way back to like the Lowry and Wendell are his teammates days, where he looks to get his teammates involved first, and then he follows to be like, okay, now it's time to get mine. But he never did the part where it was, okay, now it's time to get mine. I liked what he did distributing out of the gate in the first quarter, Dave, but as you heard Mark mention, he took 7 shots tonight, and only one of them was from behind the 3-point line. Wait, how the hell do you explain 7 shots?
Yeah, I can't. I have no explanation for it at all. Like, it's such a weird game, and you're looking at it like, you had 9 assists. We get it. You're distributing, but it's the same way I talked about with Kobe White. Yeah, it's nice when you have 7 rebounds and 7 assists, but I need you to score. I need you to get those 25 points. That's exactly why you're out there. And I appreciate that other side of your game. But we know what's going to get the Bulls that victory. And I think, and Mark, let me ask you, man, because we kind of touched on this when we were watching the game. But what's more, I guess, shocking or saddening to you watching this team so far? Is it the lack of the offense, which they are known for, which we know is exactly why they're going to be in the game? Or is it the defense, what they're not known for, but it still looks like they're getting done up really nasty out there?
Look, for me, just the way I'm made up, I suppose, mentally, it's always the defense. Like, I'm watching these defensive possessions and just scratching my head constantly. And I shouldn't be, because we all inherently know, like, the limitations of the players currently on the roster. Like, we know that the majority of the time there's going to be 2 or 3 bad defenders on the court. We know for 2 or 3 months now, like, the Bulls have been a bottom 10 defense, sometimes even bottom 5. Maybe I'm cutting them too much slack there by saying they're bottom 10. But I guess the point is, like, for me at least, I'm always going to revert back to defensive mistakes, because the defense should be keeping you in the game. But yeah, I take your point why the offense may be a little bit more annoying, because we expected, or at least, in January and December, the Bulls were winning shootouts. That's how they were staying in things when their defense was starting to slide at that point. But seemingly at the moment, the offense isn't getting it going to right now either. And, if we can expect the defense to suck already, if their offense isn't going to come to play like it did tonight, then they have no chance. So why is Zach only had 7 attempts? Who the hell knows? I guess, like, it's funny, like, when he has a good game, I'm in my mind, I'm like, yeah, the knee's not bothering him. But then when he has a bad game, I immediately go to, oh, his knee must be bothering him. I have no idea if that's credible or not. But what other explanation is there for him only having 7 attempts? When was the last time this dude had 7 attempts ever? I can't, maybe it's happened recently, but I can't remember one. I haven't looked it up, but it must have been ages ago.
And, it's like the Bulls listed Zach as probable for this game yesterday, a day after he plays in Utah and drops 33 and looks like the best version of himself that we've seen in weeks if not months.
Yeah.
And then this game happens, and you think, should he have played in this game? Should he be playing in any of these games? Obviously, if Zach is getting word from doctors, it's okay to play, he's going to play through as much pain as he can play through. But, I mean, God, at this point, you wonder if it's even worth it. This team still has, theoretically, playoff games to play, but yes. I just don't like this weird, like, purgatory that we all seem to be living in when it comes to what we are expecting from Zach LaVine on a nightly basis, and that changing on a nightly basis.
This one is a little different because this is a change I don't think anybody was really expecting. You know, you don't expect, like Mark said, 7 shots from Zach LaVine.
He did shoot 12 free throws. So
That's
it's
so
like,
wild.
What? Yeah.
And the one shot he makes was that backdoor cut when he goes in and he dunks the ball, you know, with such veracity. You're like, oh, there's nothing wrong with the knee. And then after that, he doesn't score again.
Vanished.
And so you're like, oh, man. So I understand where your worry is going to come from and why it would be heightened on that. But he's going to play. I mean, as long as he's not on that injury report and it's saying that, it's all right for him to play, he's going to be out there. And I think he should be out there. But managing it, like, I don't think we saw him at all in that fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. So I'm okay with that. Let him sit. There was no reason to get him out there and continue to play him. So they're doing the best they can in that situation. But, yeah, if he's only going to take 7 shots, that's only going to just continue to raise more and more questions.
Well, let me ask you guys this, because this was something that annoyed me during the game, and it relates to what we're discussing here with Zach. But, like, why is Zach spending time guarding Devin Booker? Like, if he's nursing a knee injury through the game at the moment, or through all of these remaining games, it sounds like it's going to be something that lingers into the playoffs. If that's the case, and he's sort of managing this on a day-to-day basis, why is he spending possessions checking Devin Booker when you have Io, when you have Javonte, or whoever it may be? Caruso started the second half, took that matchup initially in that second half period. Why are you spending time with Zach guarding Devin Booker and making him presumably like forcing that need to work even harder than what it needs to be? Like, he's not necessarily leading the offense, but he's obviously a huge chunk of the offense. But now you're asking him to guard Devin Booker on the other side of the ball as well. Like, does he need to be doing that, I guess? So that was a concern I had during the game. It wasn't for every single possession. There was times where he was switching onto Devin Booker, but there was also times where there was half-court sets being run and that the Suns hadn't necessarily got into their stuff yet. But there was Zach picking up Devin Booker. So, like, I don't know about you guys, but was that something that you're concerned about as well? The fact that he's still guarding the other team's best players at times. Like, even go back to the other game against the Jazz. He was spending time on Donovan Mitchell. Like, why is that happening if he's carrying a knee injury?
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair question. And the question that I have as a follow-up is, I'm wondering, is that something that Zach LaVine is insisting on doing himself out of a matter of pride? I'm sick of people talking shit about my defense. Hey, Billy, let me guard and let me check book for some time tonight. Mm-hmm. Or is it Billy's instructions? I mean, I don't know the answer to that, but I think it's a fair question to wonder if he's even not, playing through an injury, mm-hmm. and we need his scoring. Mm-hmm. No one had 20 points tonight. We need his scoring. Yeah. Should he be exhausting himself on the defensive end? And who's making that decision? I
think it's Zach, honestly, in my opinion, making that decision.
I wouldn't be surprised if it were.
He's definitely that kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? That kind of pride that he kind of plays with. And you heard Adam Amin kind of say it during the game. Like, he mentioned Zach taking on the challenge mm-hmm. of guarding Devin Booker. Zach wants to be looked at as not just one of the best, but the best shooting guard in the league. And he just went up against 2 of them, the 2 of the 3 that people might say are the best in the league. So right. I'm sure he's looking at that like, yeah, I'm taking on that challenge. I'm the best. So, yeah, I would guard this guy also because I think I'm the best. So I think that played a lot into it, that pride of Zach LaVine. But as we know, pride comes before the fall.
Right.
So we don't want to see that out there, man. I'd rather you just go out there and score. And Billy, again, has to learn how to save his players from themselves. Yeah. Taking him out of the game in the fourth quarter was a good way to do that. You know what I'm saying? Removing him and letting him sit was a great way to do that. But, yeah, I do think it was Zach kind of trying to take on that challenge.
We see you, Sam, with that super chat, and we will get to you right up next because it's a very fun question. Ooh. We appreciate the donation. But first, Big Dave, tell the people how they could be having all sorts of fun on games like this game with PointsBet.
Oh, you know what? Mark came on here. He wanted to be cheered up. That's what he wanted. He wanted to be cheered up. Damn it, let the cheering up begin, baby.
Cheer away,
it's
good
now
sir.
to talk about PointsBet. The
Cheer
best
away.
way to support CHGO is to download that PointsBet app and use that code CHGO when you sign up. And if you do that right now, you'll get two risk-free bets up to $2,000. But that's not it. No. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you will receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from that CHGO locker. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free T-shirt from the CHGO locker, all for making a $50 first-time deposit at PointsBet. And also, y'all, introducing PointsBet new feature. Listen up, Matt Peck. The live college basketball same game parlay for the first time ever. You can build the perfect live same game parlay only with PointsBet. Combine your favorite bets anytime during the game, and if you want more, and I know you do, Joey, I know you do, you can also boost your live same game parlays. So that means you can watch live, parlay live, and boost live, all with PointsBet. Oh, and now, if you're in Illinois, you can sign up right at home. You don't have to go out in this sideways monsoon that's going on outside. No, you can download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. Plus, during the PointsBet March Madness, all users can earn up to $100 in free bets. During each round, just place your $50 pregame wager and get a free $20 live bet to be used for that round. So what are you waiting for? I don't know. Me neither. So hey, go ahead and get on this, because once the game starts, you don't just bet, you live your bet life with PointsBet. Oh, that was for you, Mark.
Love it. Bad man delivers. Bad man delivers.
Pretty good.
Well done, Joey. Well done, sir. Well done.
So here's a fun question from Sam.
Okay.
Would y'all ever ask and or have Bulls legend Brian Scalabrine as a guest on the show?
Yeah,
Yes, we would.
I wouldn't.
No, we have not asked him, but you know this about me, Big Dave. Diehard Scal fan.
Huge.
When the White Mamba rocked the red, white, and black, I loved every second of it.
What an interestingly specific super chat.
Right?
Like, Sam,
I
do
love
you
it.
know
But
Brian
that's
Scalabrine?
That's someone who knows what they want to ask, and they know they want an answer to it.
Can you help us get him on the show?
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, do you know Sam Williams? Are you pals with Scal? You want to hook us up?
Because with Scal rhyme, by the way.
it does.
That's pretty good.
We maybe had an in when we worked, at that other place, because he works for that other place.
That is true. Wait, don't you have a Scalabrine like picture or something?
I
up?
do. I have an autographed Scal 8x11 of him going up for a gorgeous 14-foot jump shot, which I'm sure he cashed.
And which I'm sure it was in the fourth quarter when they were up by 40. I'm sure it
was. It was a gift from my bro, actually. Shout out, bro.
Shout out, bro.
Because he knows just how much I love Scal.
What is it about Scal that you love so much?
He was Tom Thibodeau's human victory cigar. I remember being at the Madhouse on some of those nights that season when the Bulls were winning 60 games. And instead of us tonight being like, well, Bulls down 20 in the fourth quarter, the fourth quarter was a party because you were up 20.
I remember.
And then it was like the UC would just start chanting, Scalabrine.
Yes.
And then he would tear off the sweats. The place would explode. And then it was like anytime he touched the ball, the place would go mad and want him to shoot. I mean, it was maybe not quite as visceral when you're watching from the other side of the world, Mark, but come on, you vibe with that whole Scal thing too, right?
Oh, look, I mean, to a degree, but look, I mean, Sam, what was that? $4.99 for that super chat. I'm wondering if you could get $4.99 for that signed Scal picture that you've got. You reckon that's
Hey, come on.
I don't reckon you can do it. I don't reckon you can do it.
Oh, my. Oh, well done.
That's harsh.
It's the brew. I'm telling you, man. This is what happens when you put the drinks in. That's what happens when it goes down, baby. That's how it's going to be.
That man's autograph is worth more than $5.
You think?
I believe.
Joey, how much you think Brian Scalabrine's autograph is worth?
USC legend. And he's playing in I think he's got one of the better teams in the Big 3 tournament. He plays in that.
He does play in the
and
Big
he's
3.
good.
That is
he's
true.
like averaging like 25 or something. I don't actually know how the stats work.
Just tossing numbers
But something.
out. Okay,
He's playing well.
He's good.
More than $5 for sure. Under 100.
More than $5.
I don't even think
for sure.
close to 100.
I don't know, man. I mean, Mark might be right. Honestly, it might be like that $4.99 range. It
Yeah.
might be on that tip. You know, like seriously, it might be that.
Sam said, sometimes I dream that he is me, like Scal, if I could be like Scal.
I wanna be like Scal.
That's fantastic.
Yes, it is.
We also have a donation and a comment from Matt Lennon. Appreciate you, buddy, who
you,
said,
sir.
time to start AC. He didn't even frame it as a question. He just said it's time to start AC. Mark, what do you think about that idea? We did see him start the second half.
Yeah, we did, and my immediate thought was like, is this a in-game adjustment, or is this something that's going to potentially, last for the next few games coming up? Like Billy floated the idea that they're still toying with that idea as to whether they mix up their starting lineup. Personally, I don't like the idea of doing it, just because it's less about what Caruso brings when you put him into the starting unit, but more so what the flow-on ramifications are. And we saw that in the second half, where Billy ultimately went to a second unit lineup that had all three of Derek Jones Jr., Javonte, and Tristan Thompson on the floor. And whenever you do that, like, we're talking about the lack of shooting, we're talking about lack of spacing. Maybe that contributed to Zach just, only getting 7 field goal attempts, because the court is so constricted when you have all those three guys on the court at the one time. And someone in the comments, I forgot who it was, so apologies, but they had mentioned, how constricted the court looked tonight. And, that is the flow-on effect when you have Caruso in the starting unit. Ultimately, the second unit will feature a lot of guys that just can't shoot at all. So when you have those three out there, you put in DeMar, and then you really just only have Kobe out there as the noted shooter, let's say. Like, you just can't get those 3-point attempts up. So I personally don't like it. I don't know if it's something the Bulls should go to. I don't even know if Caruso can go balls to the wall for 30-plus minutes a game. Can he keep out of foul trouble? He's still battling with that wrist injury, which he hurt against the Jazz. Personally, I wouldn't do with it. I wouldn't go that way, but happy to be challenged on that, I guess. What do you guys think?
I didn't mind Billy trying things. I'm always okay with him trying anything because, as I keep saying, like, I like him because he's not beholden to any lineup. He's like, all right, I'll try it. If it doesn't work, then fine, we'll never do it again. And I'm okay with that. I think everything you said is absolutely correct, though. And plus, he just works better off the bench. We know where Caruso's biggest impact is. It's coming in off the bench, and when it's a close game in the fourth quarter, having him in that starting five in that fourth quarter. That's where his impact is felt. We saw it, but we did see a slight impact of it early in the third quarter when he was in with a couple of steals that he got back-to-back, which led to those transition opportunities for the Bulls. But overall, and you mentioned it, Mark, the spacing in the third, not just the third, like the spacing throughout the game was just horrific for the Bulls, man. And yeah, having Caruso out there, I never thought of it impeding the progress of Zach actually taking shots. That's an interesting thing. I didn't even think of that, and you might be onto something there. But I had no problem seeing it because now that I see it, I understand. I'm like, okay, it's not just lip service anymore. So I'm like, okay, well, bet, cool. Let's not do that again. Thank you for that. Thank you for that moment, and hurry up Patrick Williams to get back so we don't have to do this no more.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that's why it's interesting, because like if it's interesting to understand or to know is this just an in-game adjustment, or is this something that Billy wants to go with, because it has implications for Pat's return. Like if Caruso is out there starting, then I'm assuming that means Pat is coming off the bench, because I doubt that Io is going to go to the bench in that scenario. Obviously, LaVine and DeMar are staying in that starting unit, as is Vooch. So if Caruso is going in for Javonte, then I'm assuming Pat's coming off the bench in that scenario. So that's why it's interesting as well. Not just because of who's currently on the roster and the permutations around that, but also what it means for Patrick Williams' return, which seems like it's pretty imminent. Like, so it has multiple flow-on effects, which is why it's intriguing.
So, and also for what you mentioned, it's intriguing because even if he doesn't do it for Javonte, like you said, he could do it for Io as well. Like he could make that move and start him over Io going forward. Like that could actually be a thing, going in with Caruso.
I just wonder about the tinkering with lineup, bench unit, rotations as you're making your way into the playoff series.
Okay.
Just maybe because we've all been hoping that this hope of hopes that the Bulls get healthy, they have at least a handful of regular season games to identify and establish the rotation, right?
Right.
And that would give us some other level of optimism coming into our playoff series, whatever the matchup might be. Mm-hmm. And maybe now having to realize that that's just not where this team is. And that Billy might have to continue tinkering through the final 12 games of the regular season and their playoff series.
It could be. Like I said, nothing's off the table with this team, man, especially when you've been losing like they've been losing and you're trying to find any kind of a spark offensively or defensively. You're trying to find a spark on this team. So, yeah, he's just trying to figure things out, throwing it against the wall, see if it sticks. And, yeah, man, they need all the help they can get right about now. And so, yeah, he just tried to switch it. It worked for a little bit, worked for about 2-3 possessions. And then it was like, oh, basketball-wise, this is why this doesn't work. Oh, we get it now. Okay, let's not do that anymore. But Mark, do you have an issue with Billy, just not just with Caruso, but just trying different lineups with these 12 games left? Or are you okay with him just standing pat with what we've seen?
Look, I guess I can't argue against trying something because what was previously happening isn't necessarily working. Same thing, like if we go back to our conversation around defense, like the Bulls occasionally were sending out a blitz tonight. They were doing that against the Jazz as well the other night. Like fundamentally, I believe that it has no chance of working based on the personnel that's currently on the court. But at the same time, the current scheme isn't working. So, I mean, what do you do? Do you keep just going to the well and it's the current thing that's not working? Or do you make an adjustment and see if you find something randomly that potentially could work? So, I mean, I'm of both minds. You can talk me into either or. Ultimately, I don't think a blitzing scheme is going to work. I don't think, some of these lineup changes are really going to work itself because it may influence one unit and make that particular unit stronger, but potentially diminish another unit sort of thing. So, I'm not opposed to it. I don't think it's fundamentally going to change anything, but if Billy wants to try things, then let's try it. I'd rather him try it now, with 12 games to go rather than say 2 or 3 games to go. So yeah, keep trying it. Hopefully find something. I don't think you will, but maybe I'm wrong.
Can we also try Lonzo just playing on one leg? you can launch a 3 from one leg, right? My God. What, 7 for 27 tonight from behind the 3-point line?
It's not good.
This team needs Lonzo so bad.
26%.
He was getting up 8 to 10 threes a game, and that's a third, some nights more than a third of this team's collective 3-point shooting. Mark, you mentioned it at the top of the show that if Javonte Green is the single starter from your Bulls starting lineup, that can't be good. The Bulls were 1 of 9 as a starting 5 from behind the 3-point line tonight.
Not good, Bob.
1 of 9.
Yeah, I don't think that's
5
good.
Guys.
Yeah, not good, man.
Good Lord.
And 5 guys who can all actually shoot.
Right?
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's not good.
All right, we'll get to more of y'all's comments, and we have to talk about a little bit, of big picture stuff with this 15th loss to a top team in the NBA. Bulls 0-15. But first, let's all remind ourselves how much fun we should be having with PointsBet. The parlay didn't hit tonight, folks. Io had a rough night, didn't get those assists, but you know what did hit? Suns minus 5.5. I told you it would.
He did.
I got some money in my pocket. You should have some money in your pocket too with PointsBet. If you enjoy CHGO, one way to help us continue to do this and continue to grow is to download that PointsBet app and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Not only are you getting that 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000, but if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you get a free annual membership to CHGO. That unlocks all of our exclusive web content, like written stuff about the Bulls from our pal Will Gottlieb, from Mark K, who put a column up earlier today.
He does that.
Like me, who put up a column earlier today.
Pecking order, TM.
And all of our other amazing writers here at CHGO. Plus, the free t-shirt from the CHGO locker. Who doesn't want one of those? If you have any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we will help you out. And as we mentioned, online sign-up is available in Illinois. You can do it right from your phone, Bulls Nation. So easy. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with
PointsBet. Boom. Whisper. Quiet.
Whisper.
You don't have no whisper sound effect, do you, Joe?
What would that be?
I don't know anything.
We'll work on it.
Work on it.
Peck. What Scalabrini autograph do you have? A picture?
It's an 8x11 photo of him taking a jump shot.
Okay, I don't know the exact dimensions, but $92.
Boom.
For what?
And who said that man's autograph wasn't worth $5?
For the front. Well, how much is the frame? Is it framed?
Yeah, it's mostly frame.
Scalabrini's signed photo, 8x10.
8x10.
In the Celtics jersey. He's a champion.
But that's in the wait. That one's in the Celtics jersey.
Well, we didn't specify.
Okay, then see you're flipping things now.
So you're saying Scal in a Celtics jersey?
It doesn't depreciate by $90.
Legend.
It doesn't depreciate by $90. Depending on
I think it does. I think it matters. Boston is serious about their people, man. And does he does the play-by-play for Boston?
Yeah, he does NBC Sports Boston.
Yeah, it's gonna have a little more weight over there.
Definitely an even bigger legend with Celtics fans than he is with Bulls fans.
Correct.
Our time with Scal was so fleeting.
It was. But he captured your heart.
Oh my God.
That's what he did.
Yeah. And he's on my wall. All right. So AK in the comments asking, I think, a very good question.
Okay.
Have the Bulls lost confidence through this losing streak? No one could even make open shots tonight. This is now a 3-game losing streak. This is now the Bulls having lost, 8 of their last 10? Going back to that previous 5-game losing streak. And the Bulls are now 0-15 against the top 3 teams in the East and the top 3 teams in the West. I am no mathematician, but that can't be an encouraging stat.
I think it does affect your confidence. I don't see how it couldn't, going on constant losing streaks, the same way it affected their confidence when they were winning all the time. You know, they were operating a little bit differently. We saw guys hitting shot. We saw Derrick Jones Jr. hitting regular 3-point shots from the baseline, and now he can't hit the side of a barn, as they say, when he takes a 3-point shot. Yes, when you're losing, it affects your confidence, absolutely. And not just losing, but the way you're losing also affects your confidence. If you're in the game and you're coming up short, that's a little different. They aren't in these games. You know, they're just getting beat up. And I really think that Sacramento one is the one that really, really, really hurt their confidence right there. Because remember, they were used to, being beaten by these lesser teams, but then coming back on them in the fourth quarter. We saw them do it against Detroit. We saw them do it a lot in early on in the season, which is why they were calling DeMar, King of the Fourth. King in the fourth, excuse me. I don't want to hurt your feelings over here. King in the fourth. Oh. But, yeah. So I think it does affect your confidence when you're losing by 20 and getting beat down and they're dancing on the sideline. The other team's dancing, high-fiving, and you're out there struggling. I don't see how that doesn't affect your confidence, but they still got time to get something together, and they have no choice, man. They got to go in, they got to play Monday, and they got to get this win against the Raptors.
What do you think, Mark?
I'm gonna take a different angle. I'm not sure if it's their confidence that's taking a hit, more so their resilience. Now, maybe it's semantics, maybe it's something a little bit different, maybe it's connected. I don't know. We can argue that point. But I guess what I'm getting at here is, like, to your point, Dave, like when they were scraping by earlier and beating teams like the Kings and doing it with their offense, like let's go back to the end of December when they beat the Washington Wizards and the Indiana Pacers on a DeMar game winner sort of thing. Like they were comparable teams to the Sacramento Kings. But I don't know, the Bulls found a way to come back in those games. They found a way to be resilient. They found a way to win those games. Whereas now it kind of feels like they just don't have that drive. And to me, whether that's confidence or whether it's just the constant hits that this team has taken, like maybe they were resilient at that point in time because they knew eventually at some point Caruso and Lonzo would get back. But then, I don't know, LaVine gets his injury news. Caruso comes back, but he's clearly still, carrying an injury. Pat's coming back, but he's coming back very late. We're getting this Lonzo news now that, he's not necessarily taking a backward step, but he hasn't progressed either. So, like, I guess the team is taking hit after hit. And after a certain point in time, like, how many more hits can you take? And, something I keep coming back to is that this team has a very thin margin for error. And when that is the case, then, if you don't have that same resiliency, if you don't have that same drive to eke out these wins against, teams like the Kings, let's say, then, what is going on? Maybe it's confidence, maybe it's resiliency. I don't know. Obviously, we're speculating here, but like these are games that the Bulls found a way to win previously, not necessarily against the Suns, but like going back to the Kings game, whereas that That's not happening right now. So I don't think we'd be in the situation we're in right now where, they're beating the teams like the Kings or whatnot. Even when DeMar was going crazy, like they were just scraping by against lesser teams. But that's not happening now for whatever reason. There could be a number of things that, like, DeMar's obviously regressed. We can talk about that. But yeah, maybe it's confidence, maybe it's resiliency, maybe it's a whole bunch of things. It's probably the latter. It's probably not one single thing that's impacting this team at this moment.
Yeah, that's something that I've always agreed with you on, Mark, when you talk about the margin for error of this team and that it has been pretty thin all season, and it got thinner and thinner and thinner with each guy that went out throughout this season, because this certainly appears to be a team that is greater than, the team is greater as the sum of parts as opposed to the individuals. When you talk about Lonzo and Alex's defense making up for defensive weaknesses, to put it kindly, of some of these other guys on the roster, and DeMar coming in and addressing the team's weakness of a lack of free throw attempts and getting to the rim and things like that. Like, it is a team that is built well, but has a small margin of error, and they were stacking wins in spite of that small margin of error. And shout out to Jared Johnson in the comments, who said, you guys, Billy called this months ago when he would constantly talk about how well the Bulls shot earlier in the season, and he knew that regression was coming. After Bulls wins, Billy was repeatedly talking about, we did not do this well enough tonight. We did not do this well enough tonight. True. And Billy was kind of, putting a little bit of ice on the flames of people being like, oh, the Bulls are amazing. And Billy was like, y'all chill. We got this. This team has some stuff to work on. And they were winning with that thin margin of error. Now they are losing because those things didn't get fixed, and that margin of error is still the same.
Yeah, and to what Mark was saying, whether it's resilience or confidence, I think one affects the other. So even if your resiliency is going to affect your confidence. Confidence is the one that's lacking. Your resiliency is going to take a hit. And they're getting hit on both. You know what I mean? They're constantly being punched. And so everything is affecting every single thing on this team right now. So it's kind of like reeling. You know what I mean? So that sends you reeling. And they just really got to come out and play a little bit better, man. They got to show that confidence and that resiliency. They're a better team at home than they are on the road. I think that plays into it too. Along with these elite teams, with them playing on the road, when they stink at it on the road, to put it nicely. But yeah, they still have to play. And look at the joy on my face right now, because I see who's in the wings.
Oh!
Hey, there it is.
Look at that.
There it is.
Look at that.
Look at him. Look at it. Look at it. How you like that?
I love that.
Yeah.
Man.
He's a copy of it. So.
It's Will time, y'all.
It's my new banner pick.
Send that to him, man.
Ooh.
Well done, Joey. Well done. He just did that in like 30
How was
seconds.
that?
Oh, we needed the
That should never
Lawrence.
see the light of day.
Oh, it was so good.
It was good.
We'll talk about it later.
Unless I'm Gab. If I'm Gab, I'm okay.
You are
with
Gab.
it.
You were definitely Gab.
That's the only way it's okay.
Okay. All
The rest of those people on the banana boat can go to hell.
What's up, Mark?
She is a queen.
Long time no see.
Hello, friend. How are you?
It's 12:30 here in the morning. We're on the same day as you at this point, so that's bad news. And the Bulls are bad.
Speaking of bad news, what was said during these post-game comments?
Frankly, it was a lot of platitudes about we know we have to get better, and the thing the way that teams are guarding us is changing, and we're trying to adapt. And once we figure it out, it'll all come together. And yeah, that was it was just DeMar and Billy tonight. Nothing really that interesting other than, I think they're starting to realize that the standings are what they are at this point. It's not a given that they're going to get a top 4 seed. It's not a given that they're even going to make, the playoffs at this point. And when I say that, I just mean getting out of the play-in.
Right.
But yeah, I think the tension is starting to build. They're confident. They're still optimistic, but just outside looking in, it's feeling a little worrisome.
How's Billy feeling too when you're watching him? Is there a change in?
He's steady hand, man. He's at all times he just comes in, says the right things. He's very he doesn't get too high or low. Right. I don't even think he really gets high or low. Just kind of stays straight as an arrow. And Yeah, I think he's like trying to just figure out adjustments. Like they started Caruso in the second half. He said that he saw Caruso had those 2 defensive stops on Booker right before the half, so he wanted to try that. They tried blitzing a little bit in the second half, so they're trying stuff. But I mean, the Suns are a really good team. They were in the finals last year. They're headed there again this year, and yeah, I mean, we've been talking about it all year. This team has not been able to compete against the teams at the top of the league. Yeah. So it's not like that's surprising. I mean, the Suns totally outclassed them. That wasn't like a shock to me. It's more like, okay, it's like time to establish yourselves and like win some of these tough games coming up.
Not often that you hear, getting outclassed by Phoenix or, anything in the state of Arizona. Not exactly known for its class.
Dang, coming at them strong.
Coming at our PHNX brothers and sisters.
Yeah, I said it. PHNX.
Oh, man, Matt Peck.
I made him mad with a pass.
You're going to get a phone call from Brandon after this.
Brandon's a Denver guy.
Oh, man. I actually like Arizona a lot. I hang out there. Yeah, it's a nice place. Nice place.
Well,
nice
you go have a good time and call me when you're back.
You should come with me, man. Like, seriously.
Are you kidding
come
me?
Hang out.
Hell no.
Oh, man, it'd be a great time.
Arizona?
I guess with so much stank in your voice.
No. Only way I'm ever going and hanging out in Zona is if I'm going with Charles and he brings me around and and I hang out with Charles for a night. Okay. Because he's probably still a freaking god in that entire state.
No
and
question.
Certainly the city of Phoenix.
No question about it. There in Las Vegas. Yeah, Charles Barkley's the man in those 2 places for sure.
Yeah, no. Arizona, trash. I said it.
Is that Clark on there already? Is that my man from PHNX?
Oh, yeah. No, it's our Clark.
Oh, that's our Clark? Okay, I thought that was my man. Excuse me.
How can you see that far? I can never read the comments that were on that screen.
Oh, man. Well, hey, sometimes it is.
Clark was asking about Lowry dropping the ball. Speaking of that, Mark, did you see Lowry marketing stat line tonight? What the hell was that? Where was that?
Yeah, I saw it, but I'm choosing to ignore it. And to answer Clark's question, I mean, Javonte is sporting that number 24 pretty well right now, so I think we keep rocking that number 24. So Javonte is wearing it and doing it pridefully. I would say.
I think so. Well, that's the city. He always has had good games in Denver. If y'all remember him when he was here with the Bulls, man, his father flew in that one time.
I don't remember that at all.
And they flew in.
Frankly, I don't remember one good game.
Oh, I remember it, man. I remember, and he balled out in Denver, and then that was it.
Yeah, all I remember is that mythical month of
February, baby. Yes.
Whatever it was back in like
February.
2017.
It happened.
We'll always have that.
February 19. He averaged 27 and 12.
25 and 12.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'll never forget it.
Beautiful.
I remember.
Guys, real quick, before we get out of here, just another quick glance. The Bulls with this loss tonight, a game and a half back of Boston for the 4th seed. Mm-hmm. Home court is disappearing before our eyes. Mm-hmm. Cleveland pulled out that win in OT, so the Bulls are now just 1 game clear of Cleveland in the 6th seed. Mm-hmm. The Lakers, bless their hearts, did finally do something useful and beat the Raptors, in OT tonight. The Raptors,
shout out Avery Bradley,
2 games back of the Bulls in 7th. Are we concerned that by the time we got to play this back-to-back against the Raptors and Bucks next week, look at Mark's face.
His face.
Couldn't even get the question out.
I've never seen that face on him before.
That's why you watch us on YouTube, guys.
Oh, my God. I've never seen that before. That was awesome.
Mark, I've been sitting here for days now defending you and your honor, saying, Mark K said this a month ago, you guys. He said it could happen, and look where we are.
I appreciate that. Like, I took a lot of heat for suggesting that the Bulls, based on the schedule coming up, we're at a risk based on, all the injuries as well, that they could potentially slide into the play-in. And it is a real scenario right now. I said at the top, I'm very glad, and this makes this loss a little bit easier, but I'm very glad that the Raptors lost to the Lakers tonight, because that makes, it gives the Bulls a little bit of a buffer here. But yeah, they have a real chance at sliding into that, 7th seed. I have to crank my numbers after this, get on my spreadsheet to see how their strength of schedule is looking post this game. But there's 12 games to go for basically all 3 teams. There's 1, maybe 2 games separating them all. They play each other to close the season out over the next week or so. So the next couple weeks of Bulls basketball has huge permutations on, not only this season, but the playoffs as well, and what this maybe means going forward. So it is very critical. It's one of those things where you don't want to be right on something because it's bad for your basketball team and ultimately bad for your mood. But look, this is a risk the Bulls have to, get through, I suppose. But the encouraging thing is that they control their own destiny here. If they just win games that they should, hopefully against good teams like the Utah Jazz and the Suns, then we don't have to worry about the Cavs or the Toronto Raptors overtaking. And like those teams need the Bulls to fall off in order to jump up. But the Bulls just need to take care of business. It's on them now, and hopefully they do it.
Yeah, and I think Will was hitting it on the head in pregame when he was like, Monday, the playoffs start Monday. That's when it begins for the Chicago Bulls. The Raptors, and you got the Bucks, Pelicans,
got the
and
Cavs.
Cavs.
Like they've got games against the Cavs and the Raptors next week.
Those
are like must-win games.
Mm-hmm. The turnaround is nasty.
And then you've got the Bucks twice. You've got like the Timberwolves, who have the best net rating in basketball since the All-Star break. It doesn't get easier. I'm
going to be a mess next week.
Yes, you are.
Oh my God,
you're a total mess. But
our pal Cody was feeling it during that ridiculous Illini game earlier today,
Yes,
and they
he
did
was.
come back and blow that. He was having a moment.
He was.
I am going to be Cody with these Bulls games next week.
Times 4. That's the difference. There's an extra on yours. That's the difference of it, sir. But I'll be here for you. Don't worry. And you too, Will. I see you sliding as well, but I got you back.
I'm sliding a little bit.
I got you, man.
I'm sliding.
I got to do a lot of holding over here, Mark. I got to do a lot of holding, baby.
Big Dave's here for us. We are all here for all of you, our fellow Bulls fans. Let's get out of here. Let's go home.
Let's go home.
It's 12:15 Saturday.
Yes.
We're going to get some sleep, have a nice breather this weekend. No Bulls on Saturday or Sunday.
That's right.
Let's all refocus, come back ready, and energized for this back-to-back we got starting next week.
Patrick Williams.
Huge. Huge. Yikes.
It's going to be fun, man.
If you got some time this weekend and you haven't done it already, sign up for a CHGO membership. Download the PointsBet app with promo code CHGO. Make a $50 deposit. Get a free CHGO membership. Do it that way. And follow us on Twitter. He's at Will Gottlieb. He's at BAWL Sports. I'm at Bulls_Peck. Our pal Mark K at MK Hoops. Give it up for Mark, ladies and gentlemen. Always a pleasure to have you join us, sir.
The fresh haircut,
Thanks for hanging, Mark.
We see you, Mark.
Looking sharp with the black
We see
tee.
you. I see you.
Thanks
Yes,
as
sir.
always to our pal and our buddy and our producer, Joey, dropping those audios in for us tonight. That's it.
That's it.
Let's go home.
Let's go home.
Appreciate you, Bulls Nation. Until next time, see Red. Be good.